Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be taking a look at game 3. So in this game I was playing with the black pieces and opponent started the game with e4. I replied with e6. I went into a French defense and we got an advanced variation. So this is some mainline stuff. So c5, this is very normal. C3, knight c6, knight f3, queen b6. This is all theory. It's been played several times. So with black, you pretty much just want to be putting as much pressure on this d4 pawn. That's the objective of the opening. And you have ideas with knight h6 and then putting the knight on f5, putting more pressure, or you can reroute through e7 too. So this is an opening I've been playing for a while, and I've had some really nice success, some really nice game with this opening, some really nice games with this opening, so I really like it. And here opponent played a3, which is the main line, and the main move here is c4. I forgot to mention that in the position without a3, bishop e2 is possible and is, I think, the second most popular move, and bishop d3 is also possible, but opponent went a3, which is the main line. And after c4, the point of c4 is to prevent b4. Yes, so the point is to prevent b4 because with the pawn on c5, white can actually go b4 if you're not careful. I don't understand this opening like fully, so what I'm saying, it may be wrong, but I know that c4 is to prevent a pawn break. It might be b3, but I know that it's definitely to prevent either b4 or b3. Yeah, okay, anyways, and then in this position, my opponent played bishop e2, and I went knight a5, which is still theory. This is very standard. Yeah, I went knight a5. So you wanna, in the future, you might wanna put a piece on b3, so just also preventing white from going b3. So it's nice in this very like typical thematic French structure to control b3 with the knight and the queen and the pawn. So we got a really nice clamp on the queen side here. And then in this position, my opponent castled, if my memory serves me. No, my opponent went knight bd2, and then I played bishop to d7, and then my opponent castled. And bishop to d7 is theory, and it's a tricky move, and there's a particular reason why I played this move. But yeah, so I went bishop d7, castled, bishop d7, and here I went knight e7, just developing the knight, pretty standard. I may have some ideas of either bringing the knight to g6 or to f5 later. So yeah, nice move here. And then opponent played, I think it was rook b1. Yeah, opponent went rook b1, and then so clearly trying to go either for b4 or b3. But as you guys see, there is a trap here. So right here I played rook c8, which is a tricky move. Computer doesn't like it. We can see that the evaluation bar dropped a bit, but my idea with rook c8 was that if b3 here, which looks playable, I have some pressure with the rook on c3. So I don't want to spoil because there's a really nice idea that I use right after, very thematic idea in these positions that every player that plays against the French and that plays e4 should be aware of, because I find that at my elo, where people know opening theory, but they're not like super well versed in it. They often fall for this trap. And so here he's already kind of falling for the trap, because the trap is to try to go for b3 or b4, and both those moves are really bad because I can just take, and I'll show why. So rook c8 here, just applying some pressure, because if this pawn ever moves, then after takes I can most likely recapture on c3. So logical move. So he played queen c2 here to guard the pawn, and then I played knight f5. And then my idea with knight f5 was, now yes, he defends the pawn, but he aligned the queen with my rook. So now I have some ideas of taking on d4 in some lines, if this knight ever moves, and if he tries to go here and I can take. So yeah, and then in this position, opponent went at b4. Did opponent go b4 here? Yeah, opponent played b4, which is a big blunder, because so you see the eval bar just went up by a lot. And so that's the trap. This is actually a blunder, and I win material by force here because of a very nice idea. It's a thematic idea, and I've had to play it. I've played it a few times. A lot of players are uncomfortable with this clamp on the queen side. So I'll have a lot of players that try to go for b3, but it's actually a blunder because you can just take. And then here the knight guard, so if rook or queen takes, you lose material. So knight takes is forced, and then you have this very, very nice idea of bishop a4, where you pin the knight to the queen, and now you're threatening to win the knight. So very nice idea. And then the only move to guard the knight here is knight to d2, which if you guys want to pause the video and try to see what the move is, but there's a winning move here, and that move is knight takes d4. So now if takes, we win the queen. Okay, so knight takes d4, so you can't take because there's a pin, although white could take with the knight, and then both the queens would be hanging, and this is the top computer move. So knight takes d4, and now as we can see, the queen hangs right here, and the queen hangs right here. So what do you play in this position? So the first move I actually thought of playing was the obvious bishop takes queen. But then after rook takes b6 here, after rook takes b6, if you take back the rook, then white gets 2 pieces for the rook, and the structure is damaged. And here you could take. I wonder if this is still... No, this has to be losing. Yeah, I mean, black is better, but not by much. So yeah, so see, so it's only minus 0.8. So I saw this, but didn't go into it. Instead, I played what the top engine move, which was actually to sacrifice the queen on d4. And now, if takes, which opponent didn't play in the game, but if takes, here you can, yeah, so there's just some really nice pressure on that position here. So as we can see, this pawn is weak, this pawn is weak, this knight is very fragile. So already here there's a tactic. If opponent isn't careful and plays a stupid move, nothing move, then I would have this, winning yet another pawn. You do have to be careful though with the 3 pieces being aligned, with some tactics with the rook, but I don't think anything works because I think I'd always have b4 if let's say takes and then the knight moves, then I have b4 to guard the bishop. But then yeah, but yeah, so takes, and then yeah, so he took on h7, but so opponent wanted to sacrifice his queen. So this is a desperation sacrifice. So he attempted to sacrifice his queen, which is not a bad try. And now his idea was that if I take, he takes. And now material. How's material here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. He has, I think I'm up a pawn. No, materials equal. Yeah, so this position would have been fine. But the move that I played in the game was actually I took on f2 because I figured it was more forced than safe, but the computer gives, and I saw this during the game, but I didn't go for it because I thought it could be a little bit scary with the queen taking on h8. But the line the computer really likes is queen takes d2, and then after queen takes h8, you take the bishop, and then you get 2 pieces for the rook. But I was just scared of this pin, and I thought that from a human perspective, going into this is pretty scary. But apparently this is -4, this is completely lost, but I just played safe, and I took here, and after takes, I knew that I was in great shape here because this pawn is hanging. This pawn has some meaningful pressure, especially if I can take here, then I have this. And so 3 pawn islands for white, and then there's also a very sneaky threat which actually ended the game, and that's bishop c5. And opponent in this position blundered and played bishop to b2, trying to guard the pawn, and after bishop c5, opponent resigned. So yeah, so that was the game. After bishop c5, opponent resigned. Opponent could have tried to, let's say if opponents, I think a better move was to take with the king, perhaps. Takes, what does the computer think? Is rook takes so fine? Rook takes is fine. What about king takes? Yeah, king takes is a little bit better because there is no bishop c5 threat. Now if bishop c5, just king e1. But in the game, so we had takes, and let's say takes. Then in this position, on this move, and bishop c5, now black can just go here. So black is still under a lot of pressure here, but surviving. And it's just these really ugly pawns. This is obviously still winning. But yeah, so very nice game. I was very proud of this game. I played with 91% accuracy. So a perfect game, considering that my only mistake was taking on f2 here. But I saw that I could take on d2. I saw this whole variation, but I was just scared to go into it. So if I had played this would have been a perfect game with 0 inaccuracies. My only mistake was taking on f2, but I figured from a human perspective, this was a safer option. Anyways, guys, so this is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the game, and I hope that this was instructive. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching.